Hi there, it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. Today we have a little bit of a DIY kind of card because I had an idea in mind but I didn't have the right tools for it, so I thought I would give it a go to make my own. I wanted a balloon stencil and I didn't have one, so I am going to use these. These are Hero Arts acetate sheets. You can use any acetate that you have. You might even have some plastic lying around from packaging or stamps or anything around the house that you have. And you can see here that my balloon has a string attached to it. This is a die from AliExpress, and the balloon has a string, and I don't want the string to be cut. So I'm just going to do a little bit of partial die cutting, I guess. I've put the balloon die right in the middle of the piece of acetate just to give myself plenty of room around it when I'm inking up through the stencil, so that I don't get any on the paper around it. You could probably use a much smaller piece if you are careful or did some masking off. So I really just want it only to cut to the bottom of that little balloon piece. I don't want any of the string. So I'm just going to put the die down carefully on my cutting plates, and so that exactly where I want it to stop will hang off the edge of the cutting plate. I do have a metal shim in here that you can see, but that's neither here nor there for this. And then I'm just going to add a little piece of tape to the top of my acetate so that I know that it won't shift. So I've just taped it to my cutting plate for the minute. So undoing it, I've run it through my cuttle bug, and then you can see here that it has just cut the little balloon, which is perfect. That's all I wanted. And you can just pop that out nice and easily, and because I did the partial die cutting, I just need to make a quick little snip down the bottom where the string was. So now I've got a piece of Nina Solar white paper, and it is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I've just got my stencil lying on top of it, and I'm going to use some distressed oxide inks. You can use whatever inks you have, or you could use any kind of paste or texture paste, modeling paste, anything through it as well. So it works really well, and I am just inking from the bottom up, and so that I kind of get a gradient color from darker to lighter, and inking up over several spots over my card. This distressed oxide ink is picked raspberry. And so I'm just going to do a few of them on my card in random spots, and I will have some of them overlapping soon as well. And then I just clean up my acetate with a dry paper towel or a baby wipe, whatever you have on hand. So this distress oxide is Spice Marmalade, and again, sometimes you'll see me sort of blot off a little bit on the side of the acetate just because I've got too much colour loaded on my foam, but you can kind of pick it up later on and spread it around through the stencil. I'm sure you could use this technique to use for lots of different stencil ideas and lots of different dies that you have in your collection, so I think I'm going to give that a go and see what I can come up with. This colour is Abandoned Coral, and I'm making sure that I have some coming off the edge as well. And I did have Wilted Violet out there on my desk too, but I decided that I had enough colours that I didn't want to add that one in too. So I'm just giving it a little clean. This one is a baby wipe, and it's pretty clean, ready to be used again. So I'll just put that in my stash, and it's good to go for next time. Now I'm just cutting a tiny bit off each side of my card front, and so that it will just have a tiny little white border around it when I pop it down on the card base. And then this is a die. This is the largest die in the set. This one is from AliExpress also, and run that through my cuttle bug. But before I take the die off, I'm just going to flip it upside down and then add some tape to the back. I don't want these two pieces to come apart. I probably could have embossed the die and that would have worked just the same, but I only thought about this halfway through, so I'm just going to tape those two pieces basically back together so that it just creates some nice detail on the card. Perhaps you could have also put some foam behind either the frame part or the inside part and had one at a different level, but I was just really happy to go plain and simple with this card. So you can see there kind of, it's hard to see, but it creates some really nice detail around the edge. And then this card is pretty simple today. I was really just having a play around with the idea of the stencil. So I have cut this happy birthday die that is from AliExpress, and I've cut it out 4 times so that I can make a nice thick chipboard like sentiment to go in the middle of my card. So I'm just using some multi matte medium, which is from Ranger, which is in that little precision tip bottle that I also got from AliExpress. And I'm just adding up layer after layer after layer until they're all together. And they're all done. So you can see there it's nice thick sentiment now. And this is the Wink of Stella pen, and it just puts on clear glitter. And you'll see in a minute when I manage to catch the light. I'm just putting on the pink balloons for a little bit of effect. And I think I purchased this one from Simon Says Stamp. You can get them in colours as well, but I prefer the clear one because you can put it over top of any colour you like. Don't laugh at my extra thin little double-sided tape. I clearly need to get some more. I will also purchase some of those from AliExpress. So that's all I had left in my stash. Okay, so anyway, I'm adhering it down flat onto my card front and then add the little sentiment. And I'll add that just using some multi-medium in the matte finish and put a little bit on the back of each letter. This one dries nice and clear, so it doesn't matter if it squishes out too much out of the sides, but just a little bit will do the trick. And here is my finished card. You'll be able to see the glitter from the Wink of Stella pen. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye!